Hello, Nick from Loftus here. Short video to keep you good after my last. I wanted to provide some quick analysis on Fire Emblem Echoes' story, since I see people saying the game doesn't make a lick of sense story-wise, and that this particular moment
Maybe you should go become king if it's such a damnably easy job!
is forced. What if I told you Alm was not actually talking about Lima here? And the true meaning of this scene recontextualizes all of Fire Emblem Echoes, Shadows of Valencia. Prepare for surgery because we're about to get rid of that aggressive tumor in your brain. I kind of understand why people think this scene doesn't make sense, because part of them feels as though Celica shouldn't have even gotten mad here. I mean, Lima's a giant piece of crap, and it makes her seem hyper-emotional out of nowhere. And could you imagine it? A woman being hyper-emotional? I mean, the utter horror. But let me break it to you. First of all, to me, this scene was never even that crazy. What? He's a bad guy, but that's still her dad. You know people who be like, you talking about my mama?
Talking shit about my mama?
Or you talking about my daddy? I think that's perfectly plausible here. He's still family, and despite all of her trauma, Celica might even pity Lima. I doubt she would hold a grudge against him. But if that tidbit didn't convince you, let me provide you an alternative reasoning for why this scene makes sense. Lima is Mila, and Mila is Lima. While thinking about Echoes at great lengths, trying to decipher the themes, I noticed that Lima is a reflection of the madness in Mila. My evidence is from the only time we see these characters, they are both surrounded by throngs of women on a throne. These are basically the same image. Additionally, Mila and Lima's names are scrambled versions of each other. They even embody some of the same personality traits. They are never shown to command any reverence from the aristocracy.
I never suckled at that monster's teat. Knights of Zofia need a true king to protect, not a laughingstock.
And they do nothing but sit on a throne and hide as fuck all the time. You can't tell me this bet is not buzzed. Look! Also, Lima is literally a descendant of Mila, furthering the connection between the two.
But doesn't the king's bloodline descend from Mila herself?
To put a neat bow on it, Lima is a corruption of Mila's ideals, again connecting these two figures in a symbolic fashion. So if we take this connection, that Lima is a reflection of Mila's own depravity, we can apply it in a variety of places in the narrative for where Lima is mentioned. We can apply it to this scene, where Clive and Fernand discuss Lima's incompetence. Using the logic that they are thematically also speaking about Mila here, it provides a clear picture that Zofia has this corruption, not just because of Lima, but also because of Mila. Something that is backed up by the Say himself.
Why should I fear a goddess too busy sleeping to leave her temple? If only that were the worst of it. Now that the king's scions are no more, what becomes of the royal bloodline? The Knights of Zofia need a true king to protect, not a laughingstock. Mind your words, Fernand. The king is yet young. He can produce more heirs. And while we can...
It paints Mila as a laughingstock that they have no hope of improving, and only the next generation can save Mila's legacy, just as the king's prospective heirs is the only thing that can save his legacy. Everything tracks when we use this symbolism. Mila and Lima are both not revered. Everyone ignored their fuckery until it turned to a big ass mess, the Saiyan famine, and they were ignoring it thinking it would just get better on its own, and trusting future generations to take care of the problem rather than taking responsibility. Pass it to Alm, just like Clive was like, yeah, you got this, Lima sperm. You can save the country. If I move out of this stone room, I'm cooked. Interpreting this scene from this lens actually feeds into the ending about making a world without gods, as it casts more doubt on Mila as a deity. Now, let's take this logic to the scene we actually want to talk about, the Alm and Celica fight.
You aren't really planning to fight the Regalian Empire, are you?
Listen, it's not something I chose. They were the ones who attacked us.
But there must be a way to resolve things other than bloodshed, no?
That's a pretty thought, Celica, but I'm not sure it's true. If it were, no one would be risking life and limb on the battlefield.
Is it really so naive? Zofians and Regalians are both people of Valentia, are we not? I know we can reach some kind of accord if we just try.
So both of our characters, they're stating their intention. In Celica, to put it simply, she is trying to reinstate the divine accord. She's taking notes from what Mila would have done as of what she did in the past, using that as an example. Even though the situation has completely changed, is that lack of independence, a lack of creativity, reliance on Mila that I talked about in my other video at play here. While Alm, he's all for the evolution. He's all for figuring stuff out himself, rather than just referring to Mila, going back to the past. While not related to the broader themes of this video, I thought it was important context to bring up that this scene is establishing the ideological divide between Alm and Celica right here, because this is what Mila would have done. This is just all Mila talking through Celica, basically, while Alm is trying to state his independence, that he's not with all that shit.
But why do you have to lead this rebellion? My son's grandson or no, you're neither knight nor noble. So why make yourself a target like this?
If I didn't know any better, I'd swear I was speaking to a blue blood.
And you can actually see Celica doubling down on all the class structures that aren't doing anything for the people anyways as well, but it's just how things have always been in Valentia, most likely decreed by her faith in some way.
This all started because Lima IV went and angered the Empire. If you wish to point fingers, point them at the ruler who failed his people. It's his fault we're in this mess.
That's not...
It's Lima's fault that it's gotten this bad. No, actually, it's Mila's fault that Lima even got to this point due to her spoiling them and not being strict with the humans. Mila also failed her people. And now Celica's reaction.
It is. Maybe you should go become king if it's such a damnably easy job.
What? Celica, that's not...
You're awfully free with accusations for a boy with no idea what royalty entails. And now that you're a hero, I imagine the throne is next on the list, is that it?
No.
Because this is basically Alm crapping all over her ideology and religion. And Celica's religion, you need dependence on Mila. Let her handle it. Let her do everything. It has none of the independence. So of course, if you're crapping on Lima, who is the prime example of this, that is crapping on the whole religion, basically. Celica lashes out at Alm, saying he wants to be the king, thus replacing Lima. But if we use Mila equal Lima transitive property, this action would be the same as replacing Mila and her ideals. Alm in Celica's view has no right to be king since he is not related to Mila like Lima was. Again, making her reaction to Alm not really being about her dad, but Alm's seemingly heretical aims. Alm hasn't even fully awakened to the reality of what he's doing, but just rebelling against fate seems almost like an attack against Celica's entire philosophy. This fight isn't forced or just here to make Celica look bad. It's a moment of revelation for us, the player, where Celica stands on business and trusting Mila and the current system. She affirms it proudly, that Alm doesn't even have the right to question their reality or fight against fate due to his station. She wasn't only mad at him because she was frustrated that he would not appeal to her pacifism. Using this transitive property, it can be seen that Celica was not just acting like this in order to convince Alm to back down. She truly felt like her worldview is being threatened by Alm's, as it would essentially be an affront to Mila's will, that the humans rely on her. Stop trying to change destiny. Stop trying to change fate. Now that I've explained that on a thematic level that this scene represents Alm and Celica's positions about their world order, we will see a cascading effect on the entire narrative. I think with Echoes at least, when I played it, I still interpreted Mila to be a good god due to all the positive imagery that surrounded her. She was beautiful, she governed the South, which Alm and Celica were from, and they had little bad to say about her. I always thought at the end of the game, the tone switched too fast, since it felt like the game was about class, not religion. The themes about religiosity did not begin in Act 5, it was there the whole time, and this particular scene proves it. since it is actually a scene that criticizes Mila in disguise of one about Lima. The Clive and Ferdinand scene is the same. Think about it like this without all the symbolism. If everyone hates Lima, and he acts just like the Earth Mother, then is the Earth Mother really this source of good that Celica thinks she is? It casts doubt on the entire belief system that Celica has dedicated her life to. The stage for the ideological divide between Alm and Celica was set at their first meeting, and it was not just about pacifism, but rather religiosity this whole time. And that's what I mean by recontextualizing the whole story, because when you first play it, you're like, wait, this came out of nowhere, but it didn't. It was there from the very beginning, this critique of Mila, this critique of religion. Through realizing that Lima is a reflection of Mila's depravity, she would have never got that way if not for her and her teachings. We say this scene is bad without even understanding the narrative significance of it. Just calling it bad because Celica's being emotional, we do not give this game enough credit for its writing. We just definitely don't. She didn't seem crazy like Duma, who was making people stack their families for power, but it was hidden in plain sight all along. The cast have been criticizing Mila through Lima, even if it was unintentional on the part of the characters. Maybe it could have been stronger, simpler to make it more obvious for little 16-year-old me, but upon analysis, the symbolism is quite clear and can't really mean anything else.
Subscribe, man!
Kino Peak! The best in the series, hands down. Better than FE4, better than the Three Houses. This is peak.